where nature gives nothing for free. 600 kilometers offshore, up to 90% of the food arrives by sea. How 9 inhabited islands hold together starts with drought and volcanic ground. Dry air reaches the road, the roof, the field, the harbor, and the plate. Portuguese forts, port towns, migration songs, and airport runways all face the same hard limit: rock, wind, cliff, and open water. I want to understand a country where work begins by wrestling space itself, not by waiting for nature to give. In this video, we explore how Cape Verdeans turn harsh ground into shelter, food, movement, and culture. The most valuable ground on this island can also be the ground that punishes hardest. On Fogo, Fogo rises nearly 3,000 meters above sea level from Chão das Caldeiras, the highest point in Cape Verde. The volcano organizes risk, soil, farming, roads, and the decision to remain. The caldera came from ancient collapse and landslide forces, with roughly 300 square kilometers of islands sliding toward the ocean. Later eruptions built the dark cone that pulls climbers upward. In 2014, an eruption tore through homes and villages inside the caldera, including parts of Portela and Banguera. Yet residents returned and rebuilt on the same ground. That return is the part I cannot look past. Volcanic soil supports vineyards, coffee, fruit, and small farms that are hard to replace elsewhere. Brava, nearby, answers with a softer surface. Cape Verde's smallest inhabited island is known as the Island of Flowers, fed by a higher, moister climate. But Brava has edges. It has no broad, sandy beach landscape, only cliffs, small harbors, steep roads, and sea-dependent connections. Together, Fogo and Brava show Cape Verde at its hardest. People do not inherit easy ground. They reclaim it from fire, cliffs, and the Atlantic. The strongest tourist engine on Sal is not a hotel strip. It is moving air. Cape Verde's most visited island sets an 8-kilometer Atlantic beach beside a flat, dry interior with little shelter from wind. Sal carries that bargain in its name, from salt once taken out of its crater and flats. White sand and clear water sell rest, but the island's real power comes from exposure. Trade winds turn the coast into a training ground. Kite surfers, windsurfers, and wing foilers read gusts, chop, and launch space with the care of drivers reading rock. Ponta Preta is known for strong waves. Kite Beach is known for riders pulling speed from open air. Sal and Boa Vista stand on the international kitesurfing circuit, while beginners learn in the same wind field. The best work here does not block the wind. It learns its force, then rides it with boards, lines, fabric, and skill. But a boom on a dry island has weight. Resorts need water, energy, waste control, imported food, and coastal space on land with few natural reserves. Sal's future depends on a tight bargain: turn wind into movement without wearing down the shore that made the island valuable. Spent volcano became a saltworks, then a place where the body floats without effort. At Pedra de Lume, seawater filters through porous rock into an old crater on Sal, then dries into brine and white crust denser than ordinary seawater. The entrance matters. A tunnel cuts through the crater wall, turning a volcanic interior into a workplace. The easy float is not the main story. The same dense water that lifts a visitor also left the salt that workers harvested under heat, glare, and wind. That contrast holds my attention. The crater does not hide labor. It keeps labor's shape in the ground. In 1919, a small tramway was built for one blunt purpose: move salt from the caldera toward the port. Its remains still point across the crater, stripped down to bare function. For decades, extraction works tied this island to cargo, export, and hard commercial weight. Salt was not a backdrop. It was the product that shaped Sal's identity. Then Sal took on a second ambition. In the 20th century, an Italian airline under fascist Italy developed the island as a South Atlantic refueling stop before Portugal took over after 1945. At Pedra de Lume, adaptation is literal. People stepped into a crater and forced salt, routes, and livelihood out of volcanic ground. A national dish built for scarcity can carry more force than a feast. Cachupa turns corn, beans, vegetables, and whatever protein a household can afford into the meal that holds Cape Verde together. On islands where drought once made hunger a public danger, food had to do more than fill a plate. It had to stretch and be shared. Corn is the base. Hominy, or cracked corn, cooks slowly with beans, vegetables, fish, pork, sausage, or chicken when the budget allows. The names are blunt. Cachupa rica carries more meat and ingredients. Cachupa pobre is the leaner version tied to poorer households. Nothing is wasted if it can carry another morning. Leftover cachupa is often fried as cachupa guisada, turning yesterday's pot into another meal. Fish, tuna, lobster, cornmeal, beans, and island-grown vegetables show the same rule. Cape Verdean cooking begins with availability, not abundance. Grog follows a harder line, distilled from fermented sugarcane juice. It often rises above 40% alcohol. Santo Antão matters because humid valleys can grow sugarcane where much of the country cannot. Ponche then softens the spirit with honey or fruit. The table rule is blunt. Eating in public without offering food nearby is a serious insult. Behind the courtesy sits hunger memory, and behind cachupa sits the duty to keep others fed. One of the great scientific voyages began its first field lesson in heat, dust, and volcanic rock. After HMS Beagle left England, quarantine kept Darwin off Tenerife, so Praia became his first real field classroom in January 1832. For roughly 3 weeks, he worked across lava flows, dry valleys, coastal cliffs, and dunes. Cape Verde did not offer comfort. It forced attention. The key image is a white band of limestone with shells trapped between dark volcanic rocks. That layer showed that land could rise, erode, and keep records. Darwin had been reading Charles Lyell, who argued that small forces could build large results across immense time. Preya gave that idea weight underfoot. The lesson cuts genius down to discipline. Before the famous conclusions, a young naturalist had to look longer at stone. Oranges, bananas, and tamarinds struck him as luxuries beside Britain. But the harder lesson came from the ground, not the fruit. Cape Verde did not hand him evolution. It trained his eye for slow pressure, and that eye later helped him read islands, species, and life itself. Preya turns Cape Verde's rule into science. Dry heat, lava, and sand make people adapt. Here they made Darwin learn to see change. Scattered country can lose time in the water between its own islands. Cape Verde has no railway network, so roads, ferries, short flights, ports, and airports carry the load of a nation split by the Atlantic. Distance is not empty space here. It raises food costs, slows medicine, tests fuel, and decides how people and goods keep moving. International cooperation becomes concrete. Runways, port works, water projects, energy upgrades, and food processing lines. The European Union and World Bank have backed projects that turn aid into hardware. Cape Verde has received unusually high aid per person, but the story is infrastructure. A dry state with few resources needs capital to become roads, runways, docks, and working plants. Inside each island, movement depends on roads, minibuses, taxis, and mountain routes that slow where the land rises hard between islands. Ferries and domestic flights answer a sea that does not always follow the timetable. Mindellow's deep water harbor on São Vicente has held strategic weight since the 19th century, when steamships came for coal and refueling. Preya's port anchors administration and trade from the capital. I read these ports, runways, and island roads as hard connectors, built to make distance obey. Without those connectors, a divided country stops behaving as one state. On Santo Antão, walking is not soft leisure. It is work against ravines, cloud, and height. Cape Verde's second-largest island can shift from dry volcanic ridges to green ribeiras within a short, punishing distance. That change decides where water gathers, where food can grow, and where a path can hold a human body. The descent from the Cova crater toward the Paul Valley makes the rule plain. Trade wind moisture feeds pockets of sugarcane, banana, breadfruit, and terraced farms in a country better known for drought. Read these trails less as scenery than as hard bargaining with rock, cloud, and slope. Every bend carries a cost in footing and breath. Near Ponta do Sol and Fontainhas, the old coastal road gives a different test. Narrow paths cut across cliff faces, while villages hold the slopes above the Atlantic. This is why hiking here can turn serious fast. Routes range from short walks to multi-day treks, and weather can change the ground under each step. Santo Antão breaks the lazy idea of Cape Verde as only drought and beaches. The real achievement is the labor behind every terrace, road, and footpath, each one wrestled from height, water, and stone. A dry Atlantic archipelago with poor soil helped produce one of Africa's sharpest independence mines. Born in Guinea-Bissau to Cape Verdean parents, educated in Lisbon, Amilcar Cabral studied crops, erosion, and rural poverty before he organized politics. That training mattered. Cabral looked at land first, who worked it, who lost from it, and how scarcity could be used to hold people down. In 1956, he helped found the African Party for the Independence of Guinea and Cape Verde, the PAIGC. It began in secrecy as a demand for better economic, social, and political conditions in both territories. The hardest pressure fell in Guinea-Bissau. Cape Verde supplied people, ideas, networks, and the shared grievance of islands worked hard and given little back. Cabral's argument was bigger than control of a flag. Liberation had to pass through culture, schools, discipline, and the recovery of dignity. In 1973, the movement lost Cabral just before Guinea-Bissau declared independence, and only 2 years before Cape Verde became independent. The timing gives his story its hard edge. Across Cape Verde, his name still holds ground in memorial spaces, streets, schools, songs, and political memory. A poor island world stripped by wind and extraction still produced an idea strong enough to demand dignity and change the map. Ten stars try to do what geography refuses to do, make separation visible as unity. Cape Verde's 10 golden stars form a circle because its 10 main islands are separated by Atlantic water, not joined by land. The blue field carries ocean and sky. The white stripes hold peace around a red line for public effort. This is not decoration. It is a blunt statement from a state stitched across distance, drought, ports, flights, and family ties. After independence, Cape Verde passed through one-party rule, then moved into competitive multi-party elections in the early 1990s. The current flag belongs to that turn. Since then, power has alternated through elections between major parties, especially PAHV and MPD. In a small, dry country, restraint becomes infrastructure. Many states with more land and resources have been shaken by ruptures of power. Cape Verde's record rests on civilian control, relatively strong institutions, and open public debate. Stability carries practical weight here. For an import-dependent archipelago with limited resources, trust in institutions is almost as valuable as water, ports, or fertile land. The circle of stars turns separation into a working rule. Hold together, or distance wins. Here, democracy is not a slogan. It is a scarce asset guarded like fresh water. A country can be small on land and vast in distance. Cape Verde holds just over 4,000 square kilometers, scattered about 600 kilometers off Africa's west coast. The Atlantic gives it no soft edge. Wind, salt air, and dry volcanic soil decide where people can build, plant, and stay. Before Portuguese arrival in the 15th century, the islands were uninhabited. Even the name points back to the Cape Verde Peninsula on the mainland. Empire then found a useful anchorage. The archipelago became a hub in the Atlantic traffic and enslaved people, then a coal and supply stop for ocean routes. Slavery was abolished in 1876, but Portuguese rule stayed deep into the 20th century. A law changed, the old pressures did not. Nine of the 10 main islands are inhabited, but habitation here is not simple occupation. It is a daily argument with rock, drought, and open water. Even the map is split by wind. Barlavento, the Windward Islands, and Sotavento, the Leeward Islands. One side is drier, the other holds more varied volcanic and farming ground. The film begins with that argument. How do people turn wind, rock, drought, cliffs, and ocean distance into food, movement, culture, and power? Cape Verde's border does not end at the shoreline. Cape Verde's diaspora is larger than its resident population. Pushed outward by drought, scarce land, and work the islands could not always provide. That split did not start as adventure. It started as pressure. Most Cape Verdeans carry African and Portuguese roots, shaped by Portuguese rule and by Africans brought to the islands without choice. That fusion lives in Crioulo, music, Catholic practice, food names, and family life. The 20th century sharpened the cut. Long droughts and hard hunger sent families toward Portugal, the Netherlands, France, Senegal, Brazil, and New England. Remittances became a quiet lifeline. Money crossed the water because sons, daughters, parents, and cousins had to cross it first. This fact stays with me. Many households learned to live in two directions, one foot on the islands, the other in ports and neighborhoods far away. Even sport carries the mark. Cape Verde entered the Summer Olympics in 1996, and in 2024 boxer David de Pina won the country's first Olympic medal. Winter sport remains rare in a tropical homeland with no snow. The 2014 Winter Olympic appearance came through the diaspora. Cape Verdean identity was forged between forced history and forced departure. On dry islands, wildlife survives less by abundance than by finding a crack. Cape Verde holds more than 100 recorded bird species, though the land is small, windy, and short on fresh water and soil. Isolation did not empty these islands. It carved pockets where birds could settle, split, and become local. The Cape Verde swift, Iago sparrow, purple heron, and Raso lark all carry that pressure. The Raso lark gives the sharpest warning, tied to a tiny dry island with little room for error. A bad season, an invasive animal, or habitat pressure can squeeze a bird population that has almost nowhere else to move. The beaches carry another burden. Cape Verde is the world's third most important nesting ground for endangered loggerhead sea turtles, especially on Boa Vista, Sal, Maio, and other islands. Nesting can run from June into February. Teams mark nests, guard beaches, guide visitors, and move eggs only when the sand leaves no safer choice. Rock shelters, another form of endurance. Endemic geckos, skinks, and the gray long-eared bat hold to dry ground, caves, and volcanic formations. Life here does not dominate the land. It holds on by claw, wing, shell, and cave, making fragile nature feel larger than people. Here, a field is not just land, it is a small claim against drought. Only about 10 to 11% of Cape Verde can be farmed, while up to 90% of its food may arrive by ship. That is why agriculture here is measured less in hectares than in damp pockets of soil. A weak rainy season does not stay on the farm. It reaches prices, kitchens, and the next cargo schedule. In Santo Antão's valleys, Santiago's interior, and Fogo's slopes, farmers press crops into any ground that keeps moisture. Terraces, wells, small channels, check dams, and drip lines are built to hold water before it escapes to the Atlantic. Where that works, corn, beans, vegetables, sugarcane, bananas, papaya, cassava, and coffee can take root. The goat is the other answer to this landscape. It can climb dry rock, feed on sparse shrubs, and turn hard country into milk, cheese, meat, and cash. Portuguese settlers brought goats in the 15th century, and the animal multiplied because the islands suited its toughness. Cape Verde is estimated to have roughly 1 goat for every 2 residents. But adaptation has a cost. Herds that support rural households can also strip the cover that keeps thin soil in place. Every wet patch is earned from drought, rock, and sea. The goat proves both adaptation and cost. Independence here was not handed over by the ocean. It had to cross distance, drought, and empire. Cape Verde remained under Portuguese control from the 15th century until July 5, 1975. Ocean isolation did not shield the islands from distant rule. Scarce land made self-government another form of survival. Portugal reclassified the colony as an overseas province in 1951. In 1961, inhabitants received formal Portuguese citizenship. But new labels did not ease hard ground, economic strain, drought memory, or political exclusion. The pressure remained. The independence push was tied to Guinea-Bissau through the PAEAGC, led by Amilcar Cabral. Its claim was direct. Dignity needed freedom and social change. Then Lisbon changed course. Portugal's Carnation Revolution in 1974 ended dictatorship there and forced the retreat from empire. The next year, Cape Verde became independent, and Aristides Pereira became its first president. A small state now had to govern scattered islands with little margin. Early hopes for union with Guinea-Bissau did not hold. After Luis de Almeida Cabral was removed in a military coup in 1980, the two paths split. The break took patience. Independence became a hard-built route away from both colonial command and unforgiving geography. The first European city in the tropics was built where rock, harbor, and empire could lock together. Founded in 1462 as Ribeira Grande, Cidade Velha became the first permanent European colonial city in a tropical region. Southern Santiago gave ships a hard stop between Africa, Europe, Asia, and the Americas. That harbor became a lever for Portuguese expansion across the Atlantic. The same harbor carried a heavier record. It served the Atlantic trade and enslaved people, and the stone still carries that burden. Vasco da Gama stopped on the route to India. Christopher Columbus entered before his third voyage to the Americas. These visits show the port's reach. Cape Verde's only UNESCO World Heritage Site is not a pretty shell. It is a map of power cut into stone. The cathedral ruins, Rua Banana, and the royal fortress of São Felipe show how much was packed into one steep place: faith, trade, defense. The stone pillory, the pelourinho, is the hardest object to pass in the mine. It marks where enslaved people were publicly exposed and controlled. This harbor fed empires, then left behind stone walls, a fortress, and a pillory that still make the past physical. Bare feet, not monuments, carried Cape Verdean music onto major world stages. Cesaria Evora was born in Mindelo on São Vicente in 1941, in a harbor city shaped by sailors, bar rooms, labor, and departures. From islands cut by dry wind and ocean distance, music became a tool for holding families together after departure. Morna did not decorate that pressure, it gave it a voice. Sits slow lines, carried by guitar, cavaquinho, violin, piano, or clarinet, held saudade, longing for homes and faces pushed apart by the Atlantic. Culadera moved faster. It kept rhythm, wit, and social bite in the body, proof that endurance does not always sound heavy. Long before international fame, Evora sang in local venues where migration and poverty sat close to the microphone. That restraint is where her force begins. She became the barefoot diva because she performed without shoes in solidarity with Cape Verde's poor. The gesture was not costume. It refused to make unseen people disappear. Saudade and Miss Perfumado carried this island sound beyond the port. A Grammy for Voz d'Amor and UNESCO's recognition of Morna later confirmed its place in World Heritage. Her voice made distance audible. Her bare feet made the harder claim. Dignity can stand on the largest stages without polish, apology, or borrowed grandeur. White Summit can still breathe ash. Popocatépetl rises more than 5,400 meters over central Mexico. Even its Nahuatl name is commonly read as Smoking Mountain. It is one of Mexico's highest peaks, a snow-capped stratovolcano paired with the neighboring mass of Iztaccíhuatl. The two forms make the highland horizon red as geology, not scenery. Since renewed activity in the 1990s, Popocatépetl has sent ash upward, lit its crater, and demanded constant watching. This is not dormant scenery. Fields, churches, roads, and towns in Puebla, Morelos, and the state of Mexico live beneath its ash paths. Mexico City can watch from farther west when the air clears. That is the pressure hidden behind the clean mountain profile. Ash can reach crops, water tanks, air routes, and ordinary routines with little warning. Scientific agencies track the cone through monitoring and hazard alerts because beauty here has to be managed by instruments, distance, and rules. What stops me is the contradiction at the summit. Snow above, heat below, and millions of lives within sight of both. Popocatépetl is powerful because it does not need to move across the land. It only has to exhale, and the whole region remembers that the ground is awake. Low mountain, not a skyline, gives Montreal its command over space. The city rises from an island in the St. Lawrence River, with Mount Royal fixing its name, its central park, and its clearest view. Mount Royal is small by mountain standards, but it changes the city's logic. From that height, towers, bridges, river edges, and neighborhoods lock into one shape. Below it, Old Montreal keeps the weight of trade in stone. Cobblestones, warehouses, basilica towers, and the old port hold a city built to face the river. The St. Lawrence is not background. It made Montreal a port city, a place where streets measure themselves against water and bridges. The neighborhoods do the finer work. The Plateau, Mile End, and Little Italy carry staircases, murals, cafes, markets, and dense street life in a tight grain. Language adds pressure. French dominates public life. English stays present, and immigrant communities push food, music, and festivals into the daily rhythm. Then winter takes command. Snow clearing, underground passages, the metro, ice, and short daylight force the city to move through cold, not around it. Spring brings thaw, water, and potholes. Summer opens terraces and festivals. Autumn turns Mount Royal red and gold. The final pattern returns, place sets rules, and culture becomes the practice of living inside them. A city built on silver should feel heavy, but Guanajuato seems to climb out of its own weight. Sits inside a narrow mountain valley, where wealth could not spread sideways, so houses, lanes, and plazas were forced upward. The bright color is not decoration first. It is the surface of a hard bargain with slope, rock, water, and density. Colonial mining made the surrounding hills some of the richest in New Spain. La Valenciana and other mines fed churches, mansions, and public buildings. But the mountain kept the city tight. Guanajuato does not erase the terrain. It folds itself into it. Stairways take the work of streets, houses stack over alleys, and the view from Papila reveals a city pressed into a steep bowl. Even the tunnels carry that logic. Many follow old riverbeds and flood control routes, later turned into traffic passages beneath the plazas. Below the color, there is engineering born from risk. Water had to be diverted, movement squeezed, and daily life fitted into the valley's limits. Its UNESCO status protects more than a skyline. It protects people who earned streets, roofs, and civic pride from steep ground and hard stone. This coast looks open, but the day is ruled by impact: swell, tide, heat, traffic, and demand. Between Puerto Vallarta and Sayulita, the Pacific presses against jungle-backed coves, resort bays, fishing boats, surf breaks, and towns stretching toward the sand. Puerto Vallarta sits on the Bay of Banderas, where the Sierra Madre drops toward a sheltered arc of water. That shelter changed the town's weight. A fishing settlement became a major tourism center with beach hotels, an old town, a Malican, and boats working the bay. The same water carries wintering humpback, whales, and daily commerce. Fishing boats and tour boats use the same protected curve. North along the coast, forest, headlands, smaller communities, and narrow roads lead toward Sayulita in Nayarit. Sayulita is shaped by rolling Pacific sets. Beginner breaks, beach trade, and tight streets turn wave timing into the town's daily clock. Green growth refuses to stop before the sand. The coast feels open and wild, yet tourism keeps rearranging the edge. That pressure is concrete: coastal development, waste, traffic, beach and reef impacts, and rising demand for water in towns once paced by fishing. The coast remains generous, but not passive. From Banderas Bay to Sayulita's surf, every business, route, and habit has to answer to the Pacific. The strongest public ritual in Mexico is not built from stone. It is rebuilt by hand every year. Streets, plazas, churchyards, and family altars fill with candles, marigolds, smoke, masks, drums, and processions. The November Remembrance tradition gives the clearest form to this force. Families build home altars with photographs, candles, water, food, cut paper, molded sugar figures, and marigolds. The hard part is the labor. Flowers are cut, candles arranged, cloth embroidered, costumes made, meals cooked, and music rehearsed before processions move. Natural force enters the city as material. Flame, night, flowers, corn, wood, paper, resin, smoke, and breath become the working parts. Celebration and reverence stand together because the tradition joins indigenous memory with the Catholic calendar. The result is not confusion, it is discipline. Other rituals carry that discipline across the country. Holy Week processions, patron saint fiestas, masked dances, Oaxaca's Guelaguetza, fireworks, and the Voladores ceremony turn belief into organized motion. Public space changes because people remake it with sound and craft. A plaza becomes a workshop, a churchyard a night watch, and a street a route for memory. The force of color is not softness. Mexico's ritual culture faces time and absence with fire, flowers, drums, and hands that keep memory in public view. Mont Tremblant turns red, then returns as engineered white terrain for winter. Mont Tremblant rises nearly 900 meters in the Laurentians, high enough to catch snow, fog, wind, and hard autumn color. These are not sharp young peaks. The Laurentians are ancient and worn down, so their force comes in repetition. Ridge after ridge, forest around lake, slope after slope. The resort has drawn winter travelers since the 20th century, with chairlifts, groomed runs, and compact village streets arranged around the mountain. But the mountain is not owned by winter. In autumn, maple, birch, and beech turn, the slopes red, orange, and gold. In winter, snow strips the scene down to white trails, dark spruce, frozen lakes, and moving lift lines. What earns respect here is the switch. The same lift lines later hang above hiking routes, cycling roads, paddling water, and summer mist. Nearby protected forest and lakes widen the frame beyond leisure. Tourism here depends on freeze, thaw, leaf, and snow. A weak season changes the bargain quickly. Mont Tremblant does not need height like the Great Ranges to impose itself. Season after season, it changes the horizon, and every human use must change with it. Sisit's city of steel and glass can still look small when rock controls the horizon. Monterrey sits at the edge of the Sierra Madre Oriental, where Cerro de la Silla, Cerro de las Mitras, and La Huasteca Canyon pin the valley in place. The drama is not only the famous saddle-shaped mountain, it is the full ring of limestone, desert slope, and canyon wall that limits how the city can spread. Modern Monterrey grew through industry, steel, cement, manufacturing, business, and the hard confidence of wide avenues. Fundidora Park keeps part of that past on the ground of a former steelworks. But the city never escapes the terrain. Towers rise in dry light, while cliffs and ridges keep pressing their weight into every view. The Santa Catarina River channel cuts through the urban floor, often dry, yet still a warning line during extreme storms. Heat, drought, and sudden heavy rain all set rules for the city. That pressure is what stays with me. Cerro de la Silla is not skyline ornament. It is mass, shadow, and measure. Modern power can rise fast here, but the valley keeps its own authority. Mountain, heat, and water arriving fast. Forest of Towers looks smaller when it has to face Lake Ontario. The CN Tower fixes the skyline, but the lake fixes the city's edge, weather, and scale. Toronto is pressed between glass, brick, ravines, and water large enough to cut the skyline down. The strongest view to me is that clash, towers at the shore, then open water reducing human scale. Union Station, and the downtown core push movement toward the harbor, where ferries cross to the Toronto Islands. Those islands began as a shifting sandbar tied to the mainland. A 19th century storm opened the gap, leaving beaches, lagoons, trees, and bicycle paths opposite the towers. Inland, the Don, the Humber, and smaller creeks carve ravines through dense blocks. Glacial terrain still decides where green corridors hold and streets must bend. Older brick neighborhoods, such as Cabbagedown, Kensington Market, and the Annex, keep a low scale against glass rising along the waterfront and transit lines. Season by season, the lake tightens its grip. Summer haze, autumn clarity, winter ice at the shore, and cold wind between towers. Toronto's power is not that it conquers the water. It is that its stations, neighborhoods, and steel remain visibly smaller than the sky and the lake. Earth does not hide its machinery under soil and forest here. Grow Morn exposes ocean crust and mantle rock at the surface, a rare deep earth break protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The tablelands deliver the shock, orange-brown peridotite. Pushed up from far below is chemically harsh enough that plants struggle to cover it. That matters more than scenery. Ground that looks empty is evidence of forces that hauled the planet's interior into daylight. Western Brook Pond tells the same story with water and height. Once tied to the sea as a fjord, it became inland water after the land rose beyond the old coast. The result is a long freshwater lake under steep rock walls. It looks still, but its shape was cut by glaciers and reworked by time. Around it, bogs, tuckamore forest, coastal lowlands, and cliffs show life negotiating with poor soil and hard weather. Wind and fog keep pressing across the rock. Moose caribou habitat, seabird edges, and small plants appear as survivors, not ornaments. They occupy ground lifted, scraped, drained, and exposed. Gross Morn turns geology into a physical fact. Time here has corners, walls, and bare orange stone, and human awe begins with knowing how small a road is beside that force. Nova Scotia looks settled until the Atlantic takes over the schedule. The province is almost ringed by water, with cliffs, fog banks, fishing harbors, and roads forced to follow a hard, broken edge. The sea does not sit beside this province. It pushes into the workday. Weather decides when boats leave, when traps come up, and how much a harbor can risk. Old docks carry that weight. Lobster gear, timber piers, and salt-bent sheds are tools for risk, repair, and waiting. Halifax Harbor is the larger answer. A major Atlantic port here turns distance into trade and movement across cold water. Lunenburg holds the human record in wood and street lines. Its UNESCO-protected maritime core keeps shipbuilding and fishing history locked into the slope of the town. Peggy's Cove may be the picture the world knows. Beyond the lighthouse, the coast is granite, spruce, fog, and surf that punish weak construction. On the Bay of Fundy side, land and water keep changing places. Some of the world's highest tides lift boats against wharves, then pull back to expose wide mudflats. Cape Breton sharpens the lesson on the Cabot Trail, where highland roads meet Gulf and Atlantic weather. The beauty is not soft. It is cold, salted, and held by people who read weather before work. Guadalajara's music can sound effortless. The city underneath is built on hard highland pressure. Guadalajara is one of Mexico's largest cities, yet its cultural core rests on Jalisco's dry light, volcanic soil, and broad plazas made for gathering. The historic center does not work as decoration. Cathedral towers, arcades, fountains, and the Teatro Digolado pull civic life into open stone. At the Hospicio Cabañas, Orozco's murals harden the mood. A UNESCO-listed building becomes proof that beauty here is made with tension, not comfort. Mariachi around Plaza de los Mariachis is not just performance. It is public labor, breath, strings, brass, timing, and reputation carried through cantinas and squares. That is the part that stays with me. The culture feels loud because the ground beneath it is severe. The city shines, but it does not float. Beyond the avenues, Jalisco opens into agave fields and volcanic highlands toward Tequila. Blue agave ties farming, distillation, and national image to soil worked by hand. Summer rains can soften the trees, but dry season, heat, and water demand keep stone and tile bright. Guadalajara's force comes from that balance. Metropolitan scale over a plateau that still presses upward. What I take from Guadalajara is not urban shine alone. It is culture pulled from sun, stone, music, agave, and public ground that keeps people together. The city of carved limestone is still being overpowered here, not by machinery, but by rain, roots, heat, and time. At Palenque, only part of the ancient Maya city stands clear. The rest lies under rainforest mounds, moisture, and green weight. Chiapas changes the scale of ruins. Stone is not the strongest material here. Humidity is. The Temple of the Inscriptions, the palace complex, and stepped pyramids once formed the center of a powerful classic Maya city. The chamber linked to ruler Pakal made Palenque one of Mesoamerica's great archaeological sites. Yet the strongest force on the site today is climate. Rain darkens the limestone and weakens it. Roots press into joints, moss covers edges, insects work in the damp, and heat leans on every carved surface. Howler monkeys call from the canopy, and birds move above the temples. The sound proves the forest is not scenery around the ruins. It is the force still working on them. Find Palenque powerful because it refuses to stay sealed. Moisture keeps covering, revealing, and wearing down memory at the same time. Tourism and conservation add pressure, but the older pressure stays wet and green. Palenque survives under the forest that keeps taking stone back. Stone gives Ottawa its official face, but water and cold set its limits. Ottawa sits along the Ottawa River and Rideau Canal, with Parliament Hill raised above limestone cliffs and current instead of flat administrative ground. That height matters. Government grips a river edge shaped by old routes, timber, and northern weather, not a neutral city block. The city stands on unceded Algonquin and Anishinaabe territory, and the river carried indigenous travel and trade long before stone towers claimed the bank. The Rideau Canal carries engineered purpose. Built in the 19th century as a supply route, it later became a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In warm months, locks and boats show the canal as ordered water. In winter, when conditions allow, sections become the Rideau Canal Skate Hour, turning infrastructure into public ground. Bridges bind Ottawa to Gatineau across the river. The capital is held together by crossings, banks, stonework, and season. The place has restraint. Copper roofs, Gothic revival stone, low winter light, and the river holding the capital to earth. Ottawa's strength is not that nature disappears behind government. Its strength is that state power had to take shape on cliffs, ice, current, and cold air. At Vancouver's edge, Stanley Park holds the city back with cedar, seawall, and rain. Stanley Park covers nearly 400 hectares on a coastal peninsula, with Vancouver's towers on one edge in cedar, fir, and hemlock holding the interior. The park stands on unceded Coast Salish territory, tied to the Musqueam Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. This is not empty green space beside a city. The sea wall makes the contrast blunt. Burrard Inlet, English Bay, Lions Gate Bridge, cargo ships, beaches, and the North Shore Mountains crowd the same ring of path. Inside that ring, the forest lowers the volume. Western red cedar, Douglas fir, hemlock, moss, and fern absorb the hard noise from the harbor. The nearness is the force. Glass towers sit close by, while rain-dark trunks make the ground feel older and heavier than the skyline. Brockton Point's totem poles, Lost Lagoon, Beaver Lake, and Siwash Rock give the park more than one role. It is cultural ground, coastal edge, refuge, and habitat at once. Protection does not remove pressure. Storms have opened gaps in the canopy, and new growth marks recovery under wind and a warming climate. Stanley Park keeps Vancouver from becoming only glass and road. The peninsula holds cedar, water, and indigenous ground inside the modern frame. Whistler sells access to the mountains. Then the mountains set the terms. Sits in British Columbia's Coast Mountains, where alpine bowls, glaciers, dark forest, and steep winter slopes force every route to earn its line. Whistler Blackcomb is one of North America's largest ski areas, but size is not the main fact here. The real fact is exposure. Lift lines climb into avalanche-controlled terrain, high bowls, and long descents where snowpack, weather, and angle decide how far human confidence can go. The Peak 2 Peak Gondola makes that bargain visible. It links Whistler and Blackcomb across the valley, hanging movement over forest, rock, and changing weather. The mountain entered the global frame during the 2010 Winter Olympics, when alpine and sliding events turned local slopes into international pressure. But the modern village sits inside a much older mountain world, tied to the Squamish and Lilwat peoples and their deep regional roots. Summer does not soften the argument. When snow pulls back, bike trails, blue lakes, wildflower meadows, and glacier views still run through the same steep ground. Discipline sits under the beauty. Whistler is snow, stone, and forest crossed by skill and caution. The strongest force here is not the mountain. It is the way the mountain makes every human route look temporary. Jasper is the largest national park in the Canadian Rockies, inside a UNESCO-listed belt of ice fields, lakes, braided rivers, forests, and high passes. The road toward the Columbia ice field turns scale into evidence. At the Athabasca Glacier, marked former margins make retreating ice visible without a lecture. Water does not decorate this park. It cuts limestone, drains snowpack, and pounds through Maligny Canyon, Athabasca Falls, Medicine Lake, and wide river flats. Moline Lake and Spirit Island carry the famous image, but the deeper fact is space. A boat, a car, or a hiker becomes a thin line inside a valley built for weather. That space is working ground for animals. Wildlife corridors matter because elk, bighorn sheep, bears, wolves, and caribou habitat depends on land that roads and crowds have not split apart. The forest holds a warning. Recent wildfire damage and recovery show how quickly mountain country can turn exposed and raw. As a dark sky preserve, Jasper can reduce human lights to marks under stars. Proportion is the lesson. Ice, weather, migration, and valleys keep setting the terms. Cape Verde changes the scale of a travel story. The main character is not a beach, a volcano, or a postcard town. It is pressure. Pressure from dry slopes, salt wind, steep ravines, thin soil, and long water between islands. My plain takeaway is this: respect here belongs to labor. A terrace cut into rock, a harbor holding an island to the world, a pot stretched for a family, a song carried overseas, a stable republic built with little room for waste. None of that is soft, it is earned. Cape Verde shows a hard lesson for this age. Small countries with little resource margin may read the future before larger powers do. Climate, food, transport, and migration are not separate subjects here. They meet in the same road, the same boat, the same field. Stay with the pressure, the places where weather, rock, water, and distance decide what people must build next. The next route follows that same test.